I've always thought that all my photo and video files are completely safe, but I was totally wrong. And if you're anything like me, then you probably are as well. I've spent years building up my library of work. This one is basically my working drive. Not sure what's on this one. This is my video file backup, raw file backup drive, a specific video project, old video project, but this drive doesn't work anymore. Don't know what's on this. This, I think, is Nigel's. My working SSD, so I do all my video editing off this. This one's actually labeled. I've got over 9 terabytes, I think, of video and over 5 terabytes of photos. That's my life's work, my family videos, my projects, memories of everywhere I've been. But the truth is that my backup system was just a disaster waiting to happen. Every time I left the house, I worried, what if my drives failed? What if my laptop gets stolen? In a single moment, everything could vanish. Every time I go on holiday, the 2 days before I go is a frantic copying things between drives and then working out where to hide the drives at home in case someone breaks in and tries to steal them, or the house burns down, so I put one in the car, but then I worry about if the car gets stolen, so I put one in a bag, but what if the bag gets stolen? It's a constant anxiety about what's going to happen with my data. And that's played out in real time with drive failures. I have lost work before through drive failures, so I should really have learned my lesson. The scary thing is so many other creatives work in the same way. Pretty much every other filmmaker and photographer I know has this really haphazard way of backing things up because you just assume that kind of thing will never happen to you. Storing stuff on the cloud is the safest bet, but with that amount of data, the speed restrictions and cost are just too prohibitive. External drives, like this one, fail. I've had 2 of these fail, and at least 3 other drives fail, and that's just in the last few years. The longer you put it off, the more the risk builds. Think about how it would genuinely feel to lose all of your images and videos. There's a smarter way to do this, and it's what's known as the 3-2-1 backup rule. 3 copies of your files on 2 different types of media, with one of those copies stored off-site. It's simple, but until recently, I just didn't follow it. So I've started looking for something better, and that is where the Ugreen NAS comes in. This is a NAS, a network attached storage. Specifically, it's the Ugreen DXP 4800 Plus, and it's basically a big box of hard drives that connects to your home network. It stores all your data, and it does that in a really clever way that I'll come back to later. Ugreen call this the most beginner-friendly NAS, and honestly, I think they're right. This allows me to store all of my data and access it not only from home, but from anywhere on the planet with an internet connection. They say it's beginner friendly, and honestly it is. Setup was ridiculously easy, even for someone like me. You don't need any tools at all, you just slide the hard drives into it, connect it up, and follow the step-by-step guide. This is a 4-bay NAS, meaning you can fit 4 hard drives into it, and it can handle a massive 136 terabytes of data. Now the cool thing is how you can set it up, and I've got 4 Seagate Exos 20GB drives in there. That gives me about 76 gigabytes of usable space. But the easy setup system allows me to set this up in what's called a RAID configuration, and that's the clever bit I mentioned before. Bit of a reality check for you. Every single hard drive will fail at some point, and we just never know when that's going to be. As I've said, I've had multiple drives that have failed before, so we need to protect against that, and that's what this does. This RAID configuration that I mentioned means that even if 2 of these drives fail, all of my data stored on this is still completely safe. If this happens, I just take the failed drives out and replace them, and the NAS rebuilds everything and copies it over to the new drives. It does it all for you. I should just say that in this setup, which is a RAID 6, which means I can have 2 drives fail, the usable space drops to 36 terabytes, which is still more than enough than I'll need over the next few years. Setting this up in this way gives me so much peace of mind, because if this working drive I showed before failed, I'd be in real trouble. Another reason I went for this NAS is speed, and that has been an absolute game changer. It's not just about moving large files quickly, it's about being able to edit photo and video without the speed element of it getting in the way of what I'm doing. And that is something that couldn't be said for this, which was ridiculously slow. given how much it cost. This has also solved a really long-term issue that I've had to do with photo and video sharing. As I've mentioned before, I am a dad with 2 kids, so not only is all my professional work on this, but there's loads of family videos and family photos from the last 10 years. And my wife is constantly asking how she can see my photos and videos. And I never really had an answer or a system to that. And I didn't really fancy sitting her down and taking her through a Lightroom tutorial either. Enter the AI Album Assistant. Not only does this organize photos automatically, it's searchable by people, places, objects, and it can be accessed via any device locally, meaning my wife can now browse our old family memories without me needing to point her in the right direction. They're all there for her to find and view whenever she wants. It's a bit of a morbid thing to think about, but one day I won't be here. That's a realistic fact. And I've always wondered, how will people access everything that's kind of locked away through passwords and file structures if I'm not there to point them in the right direction? This setup now solves that as well. So it's something I no longer need to think about. Data security is also a massive thing, and this has got a really robust built-in data security manager. The AI photo searching features that I also mentioned are limited to locally as well, so you don't have to worry about any of that data getting out of this and into the wider internet. There's all sorts of settings you can play with to limit who can access it as well. So your data on this really is incredibly well protected. As I mentioned, I can get to my files anywhere. Even if I'm on my phone, my tablet, my laptop, I can access and share them instantly. Basically, it's my own personal cloud without the monthly bill. Now, all of my raw photos, my video files, the rest of my data is safely stored on here, and it's pretty future-proof as well. It's going to take me a long time to fill this thing up. And for the first time ever, I don't have that background stress about losing everything. For a genuinely bulletproof system, you also need an offsite backup as well. Whilst the NAS can handle drive failure, like I mentioned, it can't handle fire or theft. And these are still risks that are very much at play. I hope they never happen, but like I said before, you can't go through life assuming these things won't happen to you. Whilst cloud-based systems are generally equipped for this, it's just so prohibitive in terms of speed and cost. There's deep cloud storage options, which are cheaper, but they're really just for data recovery. You can't access your data easily, and accessing this data takes a long time. I'm still working out the best way to approach this, but currently I have my NAS replicating monthly to an external drive that is stored off-site. I then make sure that over the course of the next month, before I run that backup again, I've got everything on an extra external drive that just lives with me in a bag at all times. It's not perfect, but it does follow the rule. I'm not waiting for someone to tell me it doesn't really follow the rule, but in my opinion, it does. So yeah, a NAS isn't a complete 3-2-1 solution, but realistically, there is nothing that is, because you need your files in different places. So you need different solutions to tackle this problem. But the NAS really was the missing piece, because I've got everything stored, protected on site that I can run my business, access my photos and videos, and edit from as well. For the first time ever, I feel like my work is genuinely safe, and I can leave the house without that nagging doubt of what if. That constant fear of losing everything is finally gone. If you've been putting off sorting out your backups, then now is the time. In supporting me in this video, Ugreen are actually offering a 20% discount on their products, which is linked below. So check that out if you want to finally get your setup started. As ever, thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful. Bit of a different video from me, but this has genuinely solved one of the biggest problems I have had as a photographer and filmmaker for the last few years. See you next time.